What's up, y'all? Coach Nick, back with Coach Kyle. We are going to, I think I want to start with some, again, some more broad things, just kind of speak to a larger audience that may have any questions or be curious to some capacity about what we do or how we do it. Our process, I'll kind of start there. So at the gym, it's all appointment based. We run a large personal training group, business, one-on-one stuff, some small group, but then we also have our group format. So everything, is going to be scheduled and be by appointment. But the process for getting started there is I typically have a conversation with somebody, kind of walk them through those things that we do, what that looks like. But most of it's going to be built off what the client themselves wants. So when they come in, we talk about goals, we talk about maybe some of their training history, health history, concerns, anything that I think would benefit getting them set up on the right path. So a lot of time that is going to be recommended that we go one-on-one because most of the people that we work with, it's been a while since they've done anything like this, weightlifting or some of the free weight training, or they just never have done it before. So we'd like to start with a more individualized approach because that's just we found the best way to go about it for results, success, and duration. But so after consultation, I'll set them up, and then I want Kyle to kind of walk us through his process for taking on and onboarding a new client, starting with whether that's the first session, first week, first couple months. What can they really kind of expect diving into PT?
But that process typically looks like getting them in here, and then we always go through a movement assessment. So that's what we call our Strong Six screen, where we cover multi-planar movement. We kind of check mobility, flexibility, balance, coordination, and then some other like endurance tests of like the midline and stuff, what their body's able to do. But it's more so. It is it's specifically general, I would say. It is specific, but it can be used for general population. Mm-hmm. It can be used for athletes, which is nice because it gives us an idea of how we move through these different planes of motion, through these certain exercises, and how restricted they are. Some people do better than others, but it allows me to say, okay, based on the conversation that you and Nick had and then you and I had, we move pretty much what I expected, or we move better than I expected, or we have a lot of red flags that we have to address first, or address as we train. And that's typically first session is that movement screening. That's typically all we do. And sometimes I'll have people that have never worked out before, never lifted anything. They come back and they're like, "Hey, dude, I was pretty sore from just kind of doing a couple stretches here and there, and moving in a way that I haven't moved in a really, really long time, or intentionally moved in a really long time."
Yeah.
And then from there, we kind of formulate a plan based on what they need and what stands out to me the most. And then I develop their training program. And when I program, I'm typically doing it for every single one of my clients. And what I like about that is, it makes my job a whole lot more streamlined. Mm-hmm. That I'm not having 20 different programs and I got to go from this person to this person to this person to this person, because I do train more kind of small groups, like 2-on-1, sometimes 3, maybe 4-on-1. So it's a big headache. But if I have it all streamlined into one program, what I can do from there is make different adjustments as I need, and what's the word I'm looking for? Substitutions.
Yeah.
And I can sub out movements based on knowing what they can do, can lift, or need more time doing, need lighter load lifting, or even just we got some issues with the knees. All right, squatting may not be the number one thing we're going to do, but I do want to get some blood flow in the knees. I want to get the quad strength up, so we're going to do this instead of this. So I can mix and match on my program, which is super nice, and it helps me out a lot, and especially having to take care of and think about 20 plus different people. It's a lot for your brain. Mm-hmm. And when you're having to program for every single person in a different way, it's a whole lot of work. It's a whole lot of work on the back end, and it's even a whole lot of work on the front end, because then you're having to jump around and all that. So I've streamlined it into one program. Everybody goes through it, even if we start at different points or different times. Some people may be earlier Some people are halfway through it by the time someone's starts it. They all start at that same starting point.
Okay.
And then start simple, just general movement. Like I want to, we're going to focus on kind of the big movements: squat, push, pull, deadlift. Like these are going to be foundational movements for what we do and get more creative with. And then we start, as we build those foundations, then we can start to get outside of that.
Yeah.
And load it differently. And start to challenge the balance a little bit more. But it's really getting somebody, especially a new person for the first time, like I want foundational movements to make it as clean, cut, clear as possible. And then as they become more advanced, then we start to get more advanced. We get to be more creative with exercises. I get to start having more fun with the programming side of it and the exercise selection, because they're now becoming more of an advanced athlete in here. So we get to challenge them in more advanced ways.
Okay.
I hope that answered that question.
Yeah, no, I think that's useful for coaches too. It takes experience, but there's a lot of benefit to having kind of a templated model and you being able to kind of build substitutions and things depending on the client needs. And so versus trying to track or record 20 different programs, you're probably naturally going to kind of follow some sort of progression model to where it's really kind of the same. It's like, but I think the experience, or you can tell the experience of a coach by being able to kind of deduce or reduce it down to like the theme of the training day. So
Right.
It's not about like the specific movements that we're doing. Those are just the tools that we're plugging in to get out of like, it could be as general as like a lower body strength, but I like that you said like, I want to get some movement through the knees. And that could look 1,000 different ways.
Absolutely.
So, and then a lot of that's just going to be based on the ability and timeline with the client's on. So I think that's where we got to like get a little like carried away with that. 'Cause you and I could sit here and talk about that all day.
Yeah.
So for somebody just getting started, it sounds like, so we're going to go through some sort of screening process to pair that with some of the conversation and goal setting that we had, to really give you direction with like, okay, now that I have a good idea of where this person kind of is, some of the things that we need to focus on individually, now how do I mold that into the templated model or program that you were talking about?
Right.
But then your approach to each session it's not that I built this thing out and we got to follow it A to Z till we get there. This is just going to kind of be a roadmap, and there's going to be some detours along the way.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up this program and begin the next. And so I guess some of that too, what does it look like to track progress? Since all this is built off progression, like what are some things that is it like kind of the day-to-day of things that you witness? Are there some things that you record?
I have in the past, like if I could go back in time a little bit when I first started coaching to now, like I'd smack myself across the face and be like, do more, because I didn't track nearly as much as I do now. And a lot of what I did in the past was like just on the fly. But that's how I learned.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the gym setting that I was in. It was like I was learning from people that's what they did.
Yeah.
So that's what I thought to do. And it wasn't until I got here that I started to really structure and plan out everything I was going to do a whole lot more intentionally. So tracking wise, I'll use a software called TrueCoach, and I've used it as a client, like just me as a client going through a program for my own training. And I love the usability of it from a user standpoint. I also like the simplicity of it from a coaching standpoint, because I can plug in as much or as little as I need to. And it's really like I'm the only one reading it. So if I'm putting all these notes in there, it's like I'm noting it for myself.
Yeah.
Like I know what I'm writing, but it gives me a reminder. But I can plan everything out. If I need to make videos and stuff to send to a client, if like, hey, I'm going to be traveling, can you send me a workout? Here is the exact thing that you're going to do. Here's the app that you can use if you want to do that. If you want to send me what you do, I'll just log it in your thing. But I can program, and it has like one of the largest exercise libraries I've seen. Mm-hmm. And you can include your own. Like you can make videos for certain exercises and rename things and put that in there on your own and your own video, and you can upload that YouTube video to it. But that's the software that I'll use, and I'll program for 12 to 13 weeks. Usually it's 12. Sometimes I'll shorten it and we'll do 8. But as long as I have that planned out, I'll do it in like 4-week blocks. and then we're transitioning, 3 kind of weeks like in a building phase like we do in our classes, 1 week with a little bit of a sustain, so we'll hit some accessories of our primary lifts and stuff like that, and then we go back and now we change part of it. We're still having the same theme, but we're adding something to that that exercise or that modality to increase the difficulty or create a slightly new stimulus. Is like, you've been on it for 3 weeks, we took a week off, now we're going back on to a 3-week building phase. We want to change up. It's not just going to be like 3 sets of 10 again. So it makes, as a coach, tracking really easy, because I can go in and I can see exactly what they did history-wise, a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So being able to see what they have done, as long as I'm good at logging it.
Yeah.
And that can be a challenge in its own. But as long as it's logged, like, I can go back and look at exactly what they did the week before, so I know exactly where they're going this upcoming week, or where we're going with our sustain. So it makes my job as a coach way easier, and not trying to remember like, okay, well, so and so did this last week. I think they did this weight, or if I can picture it in my head, they had a green and a blue, and so it makes my job a lot easier.